and welcome to the MAGG Show. Today we are having our inaugural episode of Marinated Games with MAGG. What does that mean? It means that I take a game, I'm not trying to race to get the review out day one, even when I get a review code. I'm going to sit on it and let it marinate for a few weeks. Why is that? Well, that's when you get the true understanding of whether you like the game or not. Initial impressions are wonderful and all, and you can say, hey, that was awesome, or that was not awesome. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to do that. I'll give my initial impressions, and then I'll wait a few weeks, let it marinate, and then go back to it and do a review. There's no rush. These are my feelings. Anyways, let's get into the first episode, and today's review is South of Midnight by Compulsion Studios in association with Xbox Game Studios. Now, it's available on Game Pass. It's also available to purchase on PC, on the Xbox Series consoles, and no word yet on the PlayStation 5, but I would expect some kind of an announcement maybe later this year. Who knows? We'll find out very soon. Either way, let's get right into this. My overall thoughts on this game, it's a fictional tale. It's set in the Deep South as we follow the story of Hazel Flood, and she's in search of her mother during a hurricane. And what ends up happening? She ends up on a deeply personal journey filled with magic, folk tales, music, and wild characters. I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible for anybody who hasn't played it yet. The game is approximately 12 to 15 hours long, give or take, depending on how much time you want to spend with it. I completed it 1.5 times over 3 days, and I did that as a perfect bite-sized experience to let me, take a breath from all the huge 100-hour open world games, and I just wanted to have a nice experience that I could get through and be able to enjoy myself and then just move on to the next project. Now, the thing is, with that also comes some of the negatives, but either way, we will get into that. Let's talk about what works. I'm not going to go in any particular order of how I decided what works for this game. Now, I'm going to talk about the music first. The music, to me, outstanding. I really enjoyed it. If you got a set of headphones, the sound design is also quite excellent as well. Even the rumble features, I know it's not a dual sense for some people, but either way, the rumble features, when there was thunder and lightning during the hurricane, you really felt it, and it worked really well. I really also enjoyed the fact that the music went from anywhere from grassroots jazz all the way to like an orchestral score. It just kept an incredible vibe there. Either way, the music is an absolute standout in this game. Another thing that I found it was really kind of cool are the way that you can manipulate the environment. And this is a throwback to the game Contrast, which I think that was Compulsion's best game to date, was Contrast. Now, for example, let me give you one example. If you have echo objects, there was an object that would be sort of hollow, and then what you could do is that with your magic, you could make them solid, and then from there, it actually presents itself to a new way to be able to manipulate objects, and then of course verticality in the game. So I really enjoyed that as well. It added more platforming, and so it was really, really cool how they did that. Again, if anybody who played Contrast, it was available on Game Pass for quite a while. It should be there now still, as they now own the studio. They had the shadow work, right, where you could manipulate the lighting, and then the shadows actually became a platform that you could be able to go and move around. Really, really enjoyed that. So that was a couple things I really liked. Another thing I really liked was, in a positive way, the story moves at a very steady clip. It doesn't waste the player's time. It respects the player's time, gets you through the story, keeps it moving in a meaningful fashion, and then it doesn't leave you stuck in the middle of just saying like, oh my God, can we please move on from this? Can we move on from this? Can we move on? It doesn't feel like that at all. The story clips along very nicely, and it's also very engaging and heartwarming at times, or even heartbreaking at times. So either way, the story is also another thing that works really well in this game. Now, there is a bone of contention here when it comes to combat. I know a lot of people were not happy with the combat, or they found it too simplistic, which is fine, and that's a fair statement. I found that the combat's intuitive control was actually quite good. I didn't find any issues in terms of, I'm swinging my weapon and it didn't hit, or the hit detection was off, or I tried to dodge and the dodge didn't really work out. I did not feel that at all in this game. I was able to move quickly and, like I said, intuitively, and I didn't have any issues with any of that. That's another thing that worked for me. Sure, it gets repetitive, but I mean, if you think about it, combat in almost any game could be repetitive. There were enough power-ups available in there that it actually gave you enough of a varied form of combat that I actually didn't find a problem. So that was good for me. Another thing that worked for me, the graphics and the environment. Yes, I understand it's a stylized graphic, and some people don't like that, but the lighting effects, it honestly felt like you were playing inside of an impressionist painting. It was incredible to look at. It was incredible. Even the draw distances were absolutely amazing. The details, when you walked into someone's home, it looked the same as if like a Naughty Dog game. You could see magazines on the couch and guitars on the floor and all kinds of paraphernalia around. And it was very rich and detailed. I really liked that. I found the entire experience visually fascinating, and the environments were absolutely incredible too. So those are all the things that worked for me. Now let's get into some of the things that were a little bit more negative. So a couple of the things that I wanted to talk about that didn't work for me in no particular order. Let's start with some of the level design and, of course, the problem solving, puzzle solving in the game. There was never really a moment where I found that I said to myself, oh, wow, that's very clever, or that was very cool, or I enjoyed that. How do I get from A to B in a proper manner and be like, oh, wow, that was really cool. I like that idea. This did not exist in this game. This was very, very simplistic to the point where a 4-year-old could basically get through this game. And now, the reason why I'm being so harsh on it is because I just came off of Split Fiction. I'm on the last level of Split Fiction. I've been streaming it on the channel. And I got to say that game is a masterclass in level design and puzzle solving. There's nothing else that compares with it in the last couple of years that I've been gaming on these the new releases. What I'm finding in this one is that it's just not there. It's very absent. So I didn't enjoy any of that. The other things that didn't work for me, the running and jumping are just so goofy and distracting that it literally caused me to have a lot of issues with the game. I found myself also fighting with the swinging camera more often than I really wanted to. What I mean by all this, like let's say you're running and you're about to go from one platform to another, or let's say across a tree branch into another tree branch, and if you fall off, you die. Right? So then you do this jump, and then she throws her arms up in the air when you jump. Like, who does that? It was a very Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse look to it. It was ridiculous, and more often than not, that coupled with the camera swinging a little bit too unevenly, I found myself falling off the sides of trees, off the sides of cliffs, more often than I really would have wanted to. And I'm actually quite, if I may say so myself, I'm actually quite a good platformer. I did not enjoy that at all. The other thing I wanted to talk about, the linear experience. Yes, I understand that's not really a negative all the time. I do enjoy linear experiences. However, I feel that they took this a step too far, and I feel that I'm being punished for wanting to explore. For example, like you go in the water, you die. You fall off the edge of the tree, you die. You fall off the edge of this rock, you die. And I'm like, okay, like it doesn't give you the option to do that. That ties into the collectibles or into the upgrades that you could pick up so that you could upgrade her abilities. They're right there in the open. I mean, you can walk on the main path or run on the main path, and you could see them right to the left or right. On the very rare occasion would you have to get your little character, your little voodoo character crouton to, let's say, open up a little bit of a hole in the wall, crawl in there, grab a collectible. But I mean, even those walls you could see from a mile away. Nothing very clever about it, very rudimentary, and it's fine for what it is. But again, coming off of a game like Split Fiction, and then you go to this, it's night and day in terms of that. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the combat. I know I talked about the combat, and I had no problem with the controls of the combat, and even the repetitiveness didn't really bother me. What bothered me was the animations, the unraveling animations in the middle of battle. There was nothing more irritating than having a battle with, like, let's say 5 enemies on the screen, 6 enemies, maybe even 7 enemies on the screen, and every time you defeat one and then you go to unravel the bad guy, and what happens is you absorb his health so that you can keep going. The camera draws in and brings on this entire animation in the middle of battle with multiple enemies. And I had a serious problem with that, because what would happen is, let's say I'm in the middle of this and I'm taking out a guy on my right who's right next to me. So I go, okay, let me take this guy out. And then I see another guy coming at me straight on. Okay, great. So I take out the guy on the right, and I said, okay, as soon as I'm done him, I'm going to turn slightly over to the left, and I'll get that guy head on. Then you get the guy on the right. You unravel him. Then what happens? The camera pulls in, does this animation every time, by the way. If you kill like 8 guys in a row, it will do this unravel animation every single time and keep disrupting the flow of combat. So what happens is now you unravel this character, the camera pulls out, you may not even be facing the same direction anymore. So the guy who's coming at you head on might be coming to your left this time, or might be behind you. It was very distracting and very disorientating. So I did not enjoy that at all. Those are the negatives I found in there. The other things that I found a little bit to be, again, too rudimentary, that I lost focus on wanting to continue. Like, I wanted to continue the story and I wanted to continue to play, but you just feel like you're going from A to B, right? A to B, A to B, A to B. I didn't feel like at some moments I go, oh, wow, look at this marsh. Let me go take a look around and explore and this and that. And it just didn't feel like it wanted me to do that. It felt like it was pushing me across the finish line, and I didn't enjoy that. But overall, those are the things that I found that didn't work with this game. Now, on to my final thoughts, and of course, my initial score, and then the Marinated score. In conclusion, South of Midnight ends up being a charming, heartwarming, sometimes scary, sometimes frustrating experience. It's oozing with vibe, atmosphere, music, culture, folklore. Its simple game mechanics and direction make it easily and accessible to anybody that want to play. However, that's also where I found most of its faults and its weaknesses. Repetitive combat, unraveling animations that just won't stop, uneven character movement and platforming making it difficult, the camera, overly simplistic level design that I didn't find inspiring at all. However, it comes roaring back with incredible graphics, a great story, and one hell of a wonderful atmosphere. I still would highly recommend this game for anybody who's got Game Pass. And if you want to purchase the game on the Xbox Series consoles and PC, the availability is there for you. I started this with a 7.5 when I initially played it a few weeks back. But after marinating for a few weeks, it got a hold of me, and I ended up enjoying my experience quite a bit, and I had to raise it to an 8 out of 10 for my Marinated review. So that's it for this week, folks. Look forward to some more reviews, Marinated reviews, coming up very soon. But anyways, like, share, and subscribe, tell all your friends, and stay magnificent.